Thank you all for coming and joining us. So we're doing another small AIDN information and update for those of you that might be new, if you haven't joined us this summer for any of our other sessions. So the Alabama Instructional Design Network is designed, its mission is to provide networking, mentoring, and be a resource for opportunities for instructional designers across the state. The board members, I'm Catherine Jarnigan. I'm one of the co-chairs. My other co-chair is Courtney Felton. Our communications coordinator extraordinaire that sends out all the emails is Crystal Mealer. Courtney Garza is our membership coordinator, and Janelle Hodges is our activities coordinator. So these are the people working behind the scenes to kind of keep everything going for now. We have done a couple of events. We did the Sanford Unconference back in the spring. We are still working on bylaws. If you've been joining us, that's just kind of a long process that we're still having to sort through. And then we have done our summer series, which hopefully you've been able to join throughout the summer. And we are still planning a fall event. So keep an eye on our social media and on your email for any of that information coming up as we plan a fall event. So that being said, let me introduce our first presenter today, Dr. Misty Cobb. She is the Senior Product Manager and Education Expert at Blackboard. Her day-to-day focus is change management and continuous improvement for various client programs, including the program design and curriculum. In her previous 8 years at Blackboard, Misty has held various roles in solution engineering in North American higher education and K-12, product and program management, and client success. Misty has 19 years of experience in classroom instruction and administration in K-12 and higher education, ranging from classroom teacher to director of online learning. She earned her ED in higher education administration from the University of Alabama. Her research centers on faculty experiences in transformative professional development. She also has an MBA and BS in computer science from Jacksonville State University. Outside of work, Misty enjoys the outdoors, studying Spanish, practicing bar and HIIT, high-intensity interval training, and real estate and interior decorating and reading. She resides in Alabama with her husband and 3 children, 2 Aussie dogs, and 2 cats. So Misty has a full house. And then our second presenter is Sandra Vigilant. Sandra is an instructional designer at Auburn University at Montgomery. She designs online courses, is a Quality Matters coordinator, supports training efforts for Blackboard and instructional technology. She has been in the role for over 9 years. Sandra has over 20 years of ID experience in the banking, automotive aftermarket, and insurance industries. Her background includes developing instructor-led training, e-learning, and online course for higher education. So without further ado, I am going to stop sharing. I'm going to let Dr. Misty Cobb come in and begin presenting on her faculty development topic.
All right. I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to share with you guys. And so I hope that you'll find this information very beneficial. So in way of overview, several years ago, so back in spring of 2012, I was assigned to do a curriculum development project, primarily to support client-facing presentations for Blackboard. Little did I know at that point in time that this was going to serve as somewhat of a launching ground for research that I would later do for my dissertation. But there was a host of workshops and sessions and whatnot that I helped to develop, sometimes serving as a subject matter expert, many times serving as a subject matter expert. And we delivered these sessions at a variety of different events, primarily in North American higher education. So between fall of 2012 and then spring of 2014, we did nearly 50 sessions and were able to collect over 600 evaluations or like end of session surveys from the faculty who were participating. There were 6 questions on the survey, but there was one of particular interest to me, which was how likely are you to change your teaching practices based on the things that you have learned in the session? What was really exciting was that 90%, more than 90% of faculty indicated that they were very likely or somewhat likely to change their teaching practices. And so from there, I conducted a variety of ways of sort of reaching down into a very small population so that I could conduct this research. And I chose purposefully 6 faculty and was able to conduct a series of 3 interviews with each of these individuals. And the purpose was all around discovery and examination of what they experienced. So everything was retro, looking back on these experiences so that I could learn more about what was learned and how they learned it. So in terms of thinking about the problem that I was trying to address, in my previous years in higher ed and in K-12, and then even during my time at Blackboard, what I was finding is that, there is, and you guys, if you've ever taught online or if you've used any kind of learning management system to augment your instruction in one way or another, there's change that you experience when you go from face-to-face in a classroom with what I might do air quotes around traditional instruction to online instruction. And the literature was revealing that there's role conflict, anecdotally and research-based, not a lot of information about teaching. Many faculty, unless their background is in education, they haven't had formal training or education around how to teach. And teaching styles that faculty may have developed over the years in the face-to-face classroom don't always and rarely do translate well into an online instructional environment. On top of that, what we were finding was that professional development, though usually always available, did not really provide adequate support for faculty. And faculty were beginning to raise their hands and say, this is just not enough. Then it perhaps was not enough to help them go and execute on what they had learned. And the problem at the time, and frankly, in as much as I can estimate, it's still ongoing. And if you look specifically at just the 19th annual Sloan C conference at the time, in that particular conference, there were more than 50 sessions in a track that centered on faculty and professional development and support. During that same year, I know Blackboard hosted 17 specific events geared towards faculty. So there was a lot, and still is, as I said, going on to address the particular problem. So when it comes to specifically my research, my methodology was interpretive, phenomenological. I used Mesereau's transformative learning theory. And what you see on the screen were my central research questions. So primarily, how is it that faculty learn to teach online through professional development? What experiences within the PD are categorized or found as meaningful? And does it really transform practice? And then what supports or even what barriers may be there that help or hinder learning? And so my aim was to do discovery around those things. If you look a bit closer at the context of my research, there were those 47 sessions that I was looking at, almost 700 evaluations. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I did purposeful sampling to dwindle that down into a manageable group so that I could conduct the research. What I want to point out here is just the breakdown of the 90% of faculty who said they were very or somewhat likely to change. So 57% said very likely and 34% said somewhat likely. And so I needed to figure out a way to retroactively sort of look at this to determine, did change actually take place? And so as I worked with these 6 faculty, I did synchronous online interviews and Collaborate, which is a tool very similar to Zoom. And there were semi-structured conversational types of interviews. I did have a protocol that I followed to make sure that I was consistent across those interviews. And then I used a cross-interview analysis so that I could accurately and in a consistent way analyze the responses across each of the faculty. So I want to tell you a little bit about each of the participants. And all of these names, of course, have been changed to protect the identities of these individuals as well as the names of their institutions. But there were several from a same institution. So I'll start with Gretchen at a city community college. She taught English, Comp, and British literature. You can see there the number of years experience that she had in teaching as well as in online. I wanted to draw out, what was their preparation. So for Gretchen, she had a certification for online teaching, and she had completed a host of both online and face-to-face workshops. You can see there, as what is often common among faculty, is teaching wasn't her only activity. She was participating in other events at her institution, committees, but also within the community, and she had advising responsibilities. Similarly, Teresa was a lot like her. Her preparation was a little bit different in that she actually had a degree and coursework that was related to online instruction. She'd also had a variety of workshops that she attended, similar types of responsibilities in addition to teaching. Camille had a little bit more years of teaching experience in general, as well as in online instruction. She too had a university degree in coursework, and she had different kinds of responsibility. So she had a role where she was providing professional development. She was tasked with quality assurance. She had requirements on her that related to policy, institutional policy, academic technology, and then she played a role inside of a consortium. And then the three more, we have Richard, Brandon, and Rachel. So Richard was from Big State Community College, much more experience, so 16 to 20 years, similar kinds of prep. You can see there his responsibilities. Brandon was from Jones Community College, even more experience generally in teaching and online. He was self-taught. So that was one thing that was a little bit different about Brandon from the others, is he had some commonality in terms of university coursework or degree and workshop, but he also specifically called out that he had taught himself many things. And this was likely to do with the fact that he had started teaching online, many, many years ago. He was also an administrator. And then you lastly see Rachel here with similar years of experience as Brandon. She also called out that she was self-taught, and you can see the host of other responsibilities that Rachel had. So let's look at the first research question. And the first thing that I found here was that authentic examples were key. So faculty learn to teach online through authentic examples. As part of the theory that I was using, it broke down and looked for triggers. So what trigger within the authentic example made a difference for these participants? And in this case, it was example courses in a program called the Exemplary Course Program, which is something that we offer at Blackboard. And these faculty had experienced this in a workshop that was offered called Designing an Exemplary Course. Another thing that I was able to discover was contextualized product-focused presentations. And I'll do my best to explain that and put that into everyday language. Basically, we would talk about Blackboard technology, but we would do this in a contextualized way that it wasn't so much about the LMS as much as it was on best practice. So we would use Blackboard technology, but that wasn't really what we were highlighting as much as we wanted faculty to understand how they could become efficient in their practice and they could employ best practice as they did it. So we were minimizing the technology, the tool, the feature, so on and so forth, while we were emphasizing the pedagogy. And then another thing that came out is just very clear as important was engagement with others. And the trigger here was all about interaction with other faculty. This was most often always outside of their own institution, but there was also a lot of information that was revealed around the value of interacting with Blackboard staff. It was called out that the Blackboard presenters inside of these different professional development opportunities shared personal stories that had appropriate context for content. They were down to earth. They did not talk over faculty. It was noted that they were dynamic and engaging, and they had all been previous faculty. So that sort of almost ties back into the authenticity. That was a tone that I heard over and over again, was the importance of learning from someone that the faculty deemed as authentic, or someone, in other words, that they could view as a peer. And then lastly, the overall experience, just the holistic experience that's oftentimes found when you are participating in a professional development event was noted as having a benefit to these faculty. So if we dive in more deeply and we think about the experiences, and I break them down a bit, I hope that this slide makes sense. At the top, you can see Rachel. Rachel had informative learning, so she didn't really transition. Not that that minimizes the things that she learned, but she, according to the theory that I used, did not have transformational learning. And I won't go over all of it, but you can see her triggers there on the right-hand side. In the middle is Brandon. Brandon did have transformative learning. So even though there's commonality between the things that he learned, and even to some extent the triggers, the output from Brandon and what he did with what he learned was able to be labeled as transformative learning rather than what Rachel went through. Then you can see Richard. Richard was funny when I was working with him, and I would do debriefing with them as I would go through the research. He was insistent that he had transformed. But when I applied the learning theory, he really just didn't. I think he did learn a lot. He had new concepts that he learned. He had a lot of discovery, but when it came down to whether there was evidence of transformation, it just wasn't there. If you look at Camille, Teresa, and Gretchen, they had some of each type of learning. So some informative learning, some transformative. Camille and Teresa had a lot of transformation, but Gretchen, hers was a little bit less. And you can see here again what was learned and then the triggers that helped them to go through this experience. And then if we think about the supports, what do faculty experience? And this oftentimes happens before professional development, during the actual experience, and then afterwards. What of those things did faculty perceive to help them or hinder them in their journey for learning to teach online? So the research indicated, again, that faculty said, I do all this PD, my institution spends all this money on professional development, but I don't find it to be very meaningful or supportive for my learning. So what I was able to glean was that faculty said that they felt supported by others. So that could include peers, administration, a mentor, support groups, even consortiums. They felt supported by learning about or having exposure to online teaching. They were really compelled by engaging in academic research, and all of the sessions that were designed and used and presented to these faculty all had supporting academic research, and they found that to be very compelling. They also learned from formal educations, experiences in the role of online as a student. I think that's very important. Some of the sessions did force faculty to take off their teacher hat and put on a participant or a student hat, and that was very enlightening for many of them. And we shouldn't discount even trial and error, particularly for the most seasoned faculty in my sample. They really valued the opportunity to try something and fail at it, learn from that, and then get up and try again. And so we shouldn't discount the benefit that faculty have in that experience. And then lastly, it was also noted that policy quality standards are important. I still work with institutions, not only in North America, but around the world. And I find that faculty will note when there isn't a quality standard, even if it's not the exemplary end of the spectrum, but knowing like what is the minimum that I should be doing to meet, generally accepted quality standards. So faculty tend to desire that. If that's not something you're already doing, that may be something that you would consider. So as I wrap up, what I would want to call out specifically, when you're thinking about training, professional development, or even just informational presentations to your faculty, I would encourage you, dive more deeply into transformative learning theory. It's a very rich theory. There's a framework that's easily utilized so that you can think about the different strategies that you might employ. Part of it is creating some discomfort. And so there were times that these sessions purposefully contained elements that caused faculty to feel a little bit of discomfort. That could be in a variety of ways, but maybe it's just, oh, I'm not doing that. Like a realization that what I'm doing is not a best practice. Go ahead and include exemplary examples. So if you're trying to teach faculty, how to effective practices for discussion boards, go out and find some samples or research that you can give to them that show this is an exemplary use of discussions, and include that content in your presentation and the facilitation of your workshop. Highlight technology, but let the focus not be on the technology, and instead focus on instructional strategy or pedagogy, and make sure that you can help them draw the connections between the context of what you're doing and real life instruction. Give time for engagement. At the end of this time that we have presenting to you all today, we hope to hear from you and your questions, your comments. You want to make sure that you give individuals an opportunity to engage in what you're doing. Also, don't discount what happens before and after PD. You can't just focus on the session itself, but what have you done in terms of an ongoing fashion? I was surprised at how much we were able to do in like a single transaction in terms of going and delivering workshops and leaving, but you have so much more available to you when you can make sure that you're doing that ongoing sort of non-transactional support for your instructional teams and your faculty. When you can, incorporate academic research. It's always extremely compelling to those that you may be helping. You also want to provide faculty with opportunities to draw on their own experiences. I have found time and time again that it's always beneficial to just give faculty a platform, enable them so that they can share with others what they're doing, and they can draw on what they've done before. And then lastly, include online components where faculty can be in the role of a student. If you're doing a face-to-face workshop, try to have perhaps an online component where, they're going to have the role of a student. So a lot of this isn't rocket science. I hope that many of you are already doing these things today. But it's oftentimes good to just have the research confirm or affirm what we are already doing. So this provides a good segue for Sandra to come and share with you. So Sandra, I'm going to turn the screen and mic over to you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this webinar. My name is Sandra Vigilant. I'm very pleased to be here and to be able to share with you a research project that I participated in. I'm sharing a survey project that my colleague Deborah Wenzel from Northern State University and I implemented to learn about faculty development preferences. We were paired as part of the Penn State ID to ID program, and our team project was to research faculty development. We wanted to explore why attendance to our faculty development training sessions was dropping off, and what changes could we make to increase attendance. We surveyed our faculty. The survey tool we used was from Western Michigan University, and it's from their Needs Assessment Report 2015. The question the survey tries to answer is, why has the face-to-face training, which is the most common delivery format, seeing a drop in attendance? So our survey was completed by full-time and part-time faculty who teach online at two small four-year public institutions. About 3/4 are full-time faculty and about 1/4 are part-time. So let me take a moment and describe the current state of faculty development at Auburn University at the time of this survey. Our training consisted of LMS training, technology tool training, and training on various pedagogy topics. Training is delivered through a variety of formats. We have a face-to-face training program to train faculty to use the LMS and technology tools. This training consists of 5 3 to 4 hour training sessions and 3 elective classes on any technology tool or pedagogy topic. The electives are presented in 2 to 3 hour face-to-face training sessions. We also have an online training program to train faculty to use the LMS and technology tools. This training consists of 8 modules of 1 to 2.5 hours. In addition, during the summer semester, lunch and learn sessions are offered most Wednesdays. This training is either a video purchased through Magna Publications or a faculty presentation on various topics. And lastly, we have job aids and handouts covering relevant topics, which are emailed to faculty. So the faculty survey asks 3 main questions. First, how many faculty development sessions did faculty attend last year? What delivery method for training do faculty prefer? And what topics were of great interest to faculty? With these responses, we hope to find out if faculty are interested in attending training, and if so, what types of delivery do they prefer, and what types of topics will bring them to attend training. Of the faculty who completed the survey, the faculty status is balanced across the universities. 23% are part-time, 23% are tenured associate professors, 23% are tenured track but not tenured, and then we have 19% who are full professors and 12% who are non-tenured. The balanced representation means that we'll be able to provide balanced training recommendations for our faculty. Knowing who completed the survey helps us identify who's most likely to attend training and which topics are most interesting to them. In the survey, we asked faculty the number of faculty development sessions they attended last year. Most faculty attended 1 to 2 training sessions, followed closely by 3 to 5 training sessions. We have 12% who attended 6 or more sessions. This tells us we have a small portion of our faculty who are attending a large number of sessions. So to summarize what we learned here, faculty value faculty development, and they make time to attend training. Next, we took a closer look at how training attendance breaks down by faculty status. So what we see is the part-time, tenure track but not tenured associate faculty attend more sessions. So those are the longest bars that you see on lines 1, 3, and 4. The non-tenured track and the tenured full professor attended fewer sessions. And non-tenured track, you'll notice, is the shortest bar. So it's interesting to note that the tenure track but not tenured faculty attended 6 or more training sessions more frequently than other groups. And this makes sense when we consider an important point. Auburn University at Montgomery requires faculty to complete online instructor certification program prior to teaching online. And this program has 8 training sessions. So we see greater participation in this training by new faculty on a tenure track. And part-time faculty attended 1 to 2 sessions most often. We need to understand reasons why they tend to participate in 1 to 2 sessions. Is there a delivery method that could be more appealing to this group? So our takeaway here is faculty who are new to their position participate in training at a greater rate. When they become tenured, there's a slight drop in the number of the sessions attended, but they still attend training. A good number of part-time faculty attend training, but at a lower rate of participation. Non-tenure track faculty participation in training is at a very low rate. So overall, faculty value faculty development, which is excellent news, and we need to learn more about the delivery methods that they prefer. So we asked faculty to let us know what training delivery methods they preferred. We gave 6 delivery options for training and asked faculty to tell us their preferences. 3 of the options were live training sessions led by an instructor. These are training sessions lasting 1 to 2 hours, 3 to 4 hours, and day-long workshops. And 3 of the options are in just-in-time delivery, accessed by the learner, meaning the learner decides when to access training. These are short training videos, self-paced training, and job aids or handouts. This block graph clearly illustrates overall preferences by faculty. The faculty preferred a mix of instructor-led and just-in-time delivery methods. The strongest preference is the 1 to 2 hour training session, followed closely by short training videos and self-paced training. Job aids have a smaller preference. It's interesting to note the day-long workshops and the 3 to 4 hour training sessions are very low. In the 3 to 4 hour session is too small to register on this block graphic. So taking a closer look at how these preferences break down by faculty status, we see that all the faculty prefer the 1 to 2 hour training sessions. And this is shown in yellow. The green and the blue bars show the preferences for the short training videos and the self-paced training. And if you look at the part-time faculty, they have a slight preference for the self-paced training over the short training videos. And you can see that the green bar is larger than the blue. So the observation we made is faculty, regardless of whether they are a part-time or tenured professor, they are likely to attend training sessions that are 1 to 2 hours. They are likely to participate in self-paced training and likely to view short training videos. We compared the instructor-led delivery to the just-in-time delivery. Full-time faculty tended to prefer instructor-led training, and the part-time faculty tended to prefer just-in-time training. An interesting observation is a slight preference for the just-in-time training by the part-time faculty. If we consider that part-time faculty have multiple obligations, it makes sense that they appreciate just-in-time delivery. And also, while full-time faculty have a slight preference for instructor-led training, it's notable that they have a preference for just-in-time training. Overall, we can comfortably say we should continue to offer our 1 to 2 hour training sessions. We should also look for ways to offer more short training videos and self-paced training to comply with their preferences for the just-in-time delivery method. This delivery method would be welcomed by both full-time and part-time faculty. So the last part of the survey, we asked faculty which topics did they have great interest. And the next 2 slides shows topics ranked based on the greatest level of interest by each faculty status. Using emerging technologies in your teaching was the only topic where all faculty had great interest. This means a training session of any of the preferred delivery methods would likely be attended by all faculty. The next topics have a mix of great and some ratings. The second topic, designing effective instruction and assessment for students, was rated great by the tenured track but not tenured, the non-tenured track, and the part-time faculty. Training on this topic is likely to be attended by this group. The full tenured professor and the tenured associate professors are less likely to attend these sessions. So the takeaway here is we can refer to this ranking of topics when deciding what topics to cover in faculty development and deciding what delivery methods to use. In this slide, we see more great topics of interest, and we also see the interest of some of these topics dropping off. The topic providing meaningful, constructive, and timely feedback to learners is not of great interest to all the faculty. The non-tenured track, the tenured track but not tenured, and the tenured professor all indicated great interest in this topic, but overall, faculty only indicated some interest. A session on this topic is likely to be lightly attended. So the takeaway from learning about the topics of great interest is that faculty are interested in emerging technologies. They are interested in using technology in teaching, and they want to know more. Pedagogy topics are also of great interest. Faculty are expanding their knowledge about teaching and learning as they move to the online environment. The survey results have helped us understand that faculty development is valued. Faculty have strong delivery method preferences. They also have great interest in learning about emerging technologies for teaching, and they have a great interest in a variety of pedagogy topics. To summarize, we were curious why faculty attendance to the face-to-face training sessions was declining. We were curious to learn what training delivery methods were preferred by faculty, and we were curious to learn what topics are interesting to faculty and would get them into our training sessions. So now that we collected and studied the data, what are we doing with this information? Well, here are 5 decisions that were informed by the survey findings. The most dramatic change is we no longer offer 3 to 4 hour face-to-face training sessions on the LMS. We transitioned our LMS training to online delivery, and we chunk content into smaller 1 to 2 hour modules. The face-to-face training consisted of 5 3-hour sessions, and it is now 8 fully online modules of 1 to 2 hours each. The training has due dates, it is self-paced, and we can be flexible with faculty schedules as the needs arise. We are creating a hybrid online course design process program to guide faculty in the development of their online courses. we are early in the development, and one of our goals is to work more closely and timely with our faculty. And we are continuing lunch and learn training sessions as faculty are willing to attend training for about an hour during lunchtime. And these sessions could be a video session or could be a presentation by faculty. Going forward, we shall explore delivering more self-paced training and standalone short training videos. In summary, we learned a lot from doing this survey, and we've been able to apply what we learned to immediately and then also in the future. And we'll be open for questions.
Great. Thank you, ladies. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll keep an eye as they come in and get those asked for you. I have one that I know when we have done faculty training on our campus, one of the biggest things that we butt up against is we can't find a good time of day normally to do face-to-face training. So I didn't know if you guys ran into that in some of the research or the implementations that you have done on training. We tried at some point to even do some virtually through WebEx, especially for adjuncts that work full-time jobs that may not be able to come in for some of the training. So I wasn't sure if there was anything that you had found as far as when to schedule training, or if you had encountered doing anything virtually before, and what kind of an impact that had.
Well, I can give a little bit of background on that. We have a lunch hour where there are no classes scheduled, and that turned out to be a good time for us to have our training sessions, because if we can get to more faculty than we could at any other time during the day. Sometimes we would have a training session in the morning and the afternoon, or on opposite days, like on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, so that faculty, if they had a class, there's a good chance that they didn't have a class on the opposite time. But one thing that we found is when the topic is it's a hot topic, say there's a new process being rolled out or a new tool coming along, and there's a need or just a great interest, then we will have more participation from our faculty. And also we have our online instructor certification program that's required, and that's what really drives the attendance that we have.
Yeah, we have at our campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have from 10 to 11 a 1 hour where there are no classes, and students that's an opportunity for students to go to attend different sessions. And we thought, okay, we'll use that 1 hour, but then so do all of the departments. They hold departmental meetings and things like that during that hour as well. So that was kind of difficult for us. But, if we had no classes for 1 hour for lunch each day of the week, I think that would definitely give us more opportunities to be able to schedule things. So,
yeah, and for some reason, Wednesday is a good day. I guess it's because it's the middle of the week. I don't know.
Okay, well, are there any other questions? I'm not seeing anything come across the chat box, and I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to type out their question and submit it. I know this is a lot of good information today, or if you guys have done anything with professional development and you have found that, hey, this worked or this didn't work, just we're here to share and ask questions and to help each other. So if you guys have questions or comments, feel free to submit them now. Okay, here's one that came across. Will we receive a copy of the slides or a recording? Yes, we will send out a recording. We are recording the session. We'll send out a link to it in an email after the session. So that will give you guys a chance to kind of look through the slides a little more and see some of the information. Any other questions?
Just a comment on what you just said, Catherine. Normally it takes a few days to get the recording ready and the slides, but we will send out something. It'll probably be the middle of next week before you get an email with that link.
Yes, good point. All right, is there anything else? Because if not, then we will give you about 15 minutes of your day back. I would like to go ahead and thank Dr. Misty Cobb and Sandra Vigilant for being our presenters today at our last AIDN Summer Series session. Again, thank you all for coming. Glad that you were able to join us today. I'm going to end with please stay in contact and please keep checking back with us. We do have social media accounts set up. There's the Slack channel. We don't want the conversation to stop on any of this. We are here as a way to help everyone communicate and collaborate There's also the recordings from the previous sessions you'll also find on our YouTube channel. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Or if you guys just need anything, just email us. We monitor the email fairly often. So, with that being said, come find us on social media. So I guess if that is all, then thank you for joining us, and everyone have a wonderful weekend.